Hi colleagues, this is part 5, the final video for a while on the topic of script analysis for actors. This time we're covering scoring obstacles, the relationship to your character's past, and particularization words. Hi, the Inspired Actor here. If you're new to this channel, we are dedicated to helping actors become better artists by offering these quick, roughly 10-minute acting lessons. We try to post these at least every week or so if you want to see more videos like these, go ahead and subscribe so you'll be notified as soon as they come out. Also, take a moment before you forget and hit that like button, as it really helps me out. And if you know people who might like these videos, please don't hesitate to share them on your social media outlet of choice. Imagine a world where you can get whatever you want whenever you want it. Wouldn't that be delightful? I want an apple. I have an apple. I want to be on a beach. I'm on a beach. I want $1 million. I have $1 million. It would be a great world to be sure, but dramatically, it would be super boring.
My mother's dead, and I killed her. Here's the weapon, and cuff me, thank you very much.
Without obstacles, there is no conflict, and without conflict, there really isn't any story. I have spoken specifically about obstacles before and how they supercharge your acting, but if you missed that video, I'll put a link to it in the notes. But just to catch up, obstacles are those things that keep our characters from achieving their objectives. They can be internal, like fear or insecurity, or they can be external, like the villain holding us captive. They can be intangible, like societal customs or family tradition, or they can be tangible, like a locked door or a brick wall. As an actor, looking for and identifying the obstacles to our objectives is a vital part of our homework. Let's go back to our scene from Much Ado About Nothing to identify some of those obstacles. So here we are back again on script duty, and we are going to score a little bit more of our script, and this time we're working on obstacles. So we're going to find our obstacle in Unit 1, beat or Unit 1, which I've called kindnesses, which begins with Lady Beatrice, have you wept all this while, and ends with you have no reason, I do it freely. And my first obstacle is Beatrice's grief. What is my objective? I want to soothe Beatrice, but my obstacle is she is grieving. Moving on to Unit 2, Beat 2, which I've called A Soldier's Courage. Benedict, surely I do believe your fair cousin is wronged, and it goes to, it is a man's office, but not yours. My objective here is to get Beatrice to see my worthiness, but the obstacle to that is our past, and by our past I mean everything that I've done to her in the past, all the little tricks, all the things that I've said to her, all the ways I've treated her in the past. So she's obviously not going to just jump to the conclusion that I'm suddenly worthy of her love. So our past is the obstacle to that beat. Moving on to beat 3, which is love's revelation. This begins with Benedict, I do love nothing in the world so well as you, is not that strange. And this is the longest beat in the scene, and it ends with come bid me do anything for thee. The objective is to make Beatrice see that we are lovers, right? To make her understand that we are together now, or to see that she loves me and I love her. And the obstacle of that is my fear, my character's fear, Benedict's fear, of being vulnerable. So again, that is another internal obstacle. The beat 4 begins with kill Claudio, ends with you dare easier be friends with me than fight with mine enemy. I call this a big ask. The objective is to urge Beatrice to change her mind. The obstacle to that is my friendship with Claudio. I want her to change her mind. My obstacle is I have all these positive feelings for Claudio. Moving on to beat 5, which is Claudio thine enemy? And it goes to use it for my love some other way than swearing by it. I called this the path of justice. The objective is to still Beatrice's frenzy, to calm her down. And my obstacle is Beatrice's frenzy. That's pretty easy. Beatrice is really upset. I want to calm her down. The obstacle to that is she's upset. And finally, the final beat, which is a solemn pledge. Think you in your soul that Count Claudio hath wronged hero. And that just goes for 3 lines there, the final 3 lines of the scene. And the obstacle is my history with Claudio and Don Pedro. My objective is to cement my romantic bond with Beatrice. We're together now. The obstacle is that I love and have a history with Claudio and Don Pedro. So this is going to really put a damper on that for sure. So those are the obstacles to those objectives, which is good to write in. If you see more than one, go ahead and put that in too, because that's important. You'll notice that all of the obstacles in this scene are internal. Benedict's fear, Beatrice's grief, our mutual history, and so on. That's obviously not always the case. For example, earlier in the play, when Benedict is hiding in the tree, trying to eavesdrop on his friends, his obstacle is external. His distance from his friends while being in the tree is an obstacle to his hearing everything. Also, there can be several obstacles at once, so make sure you try to figure out all of the different obstacles keeping you from your objective. Moving on, you'll also notice that I put down that one of the obstacles was his and Beatrice's past. It's really important for the actor to consider his relationship with the other or others in the scene with him, not only from the beginning of the play to that moment, but also, and perhaps especially, prior to when the play begins. Much Ado About Nothing is a great example for this. Beatrice explicitly states that she knows Benedict of old. They clearly had some kind of relationship prior to the beginning of the play. However, the playwright doesn't really give us many details of the particulars of this relationship. Perhaps they've always been like this, foils to each other's wit, always needling each other. But you can also imagine that perhaps they were in a relationship years before and it didn't work out. Perhaps one or both of them wasn't ready for a commitment back then and it ended badly. Who knows, really? It's ultimately up to you. It could be something you work out and imagine together with your fellow actors and the director, or it could be your secret. You're not really under any obligation to tell anyone about your imaginary past, so long as what you're doing in the scene is truthful and supports the actual story being told. Looking back at the script, we are of course taking into account all of the action that has preceded this moment in the play as a whole. Just as a general rule, always try to read the entirety of the script you are doing a scene from, if possible. Even if you have read the entire script, there may still be a moment mentioned in the scene that refers to something that happened in the past that isn't specifically depicted in the story. Those moments are up to you to invent. However, I don't necessarily think it's important to create something concrete right away. Maybe the answer is completely obvious and you can jot it down immediately, but most often I've found they tend to be open questions that can't be answered until late in the rehearsal process, if at all. Still, it will be helpful during scoring to write down the questions that come to you during this process, particularly about your character's relationship to the past. Going back to Much Ado, why is it so strange for us to be in love? What are the specifics of my friendship with Claudio? How did our friendship grow during the war? Why is my relationship with Beatrice so testy? As actors, we must always be part detective, asking questions and digging into the physical and psychological life of our characters with the very specific goal of finding out how we play each moment in a scene truthfully. But please be careful. An actor can easily go down the rabbit hole with this and really get caught up in what Chekhov called the actor's little intellect. Remember, we're not really concerned with why a character does what they do, but how they do it. Why is not really playable on stage or on camera, only how. So try to keep your investigation focused on the pertinent information that is relevant to your relationships and objectives that you must play. As an actor, I used to write pages and pages of my character's biography, and I have to tell you, it was not the best use of my time. You can't play that your character grew up in a log cabin and stubbed his toe when he was 6. However, asking the question, how did my friendship grow with Claudio during the war, can help you determine how dearly you love your friend and how high the stakes are when Beatrice asks you to kill him. It's a fine line, and one that you will probably have to figure out yourself, depending on the play, your part, and how how you work. Just remember not to set anything in stone that isn't specifically in the script, and be ready to change anything depending on your direction and the discoveries you make during rehearsals. Finally, I recommend going through and underlining any individual words or phrases in the script that seem particularly important. These could be words that you say or words that you hear, but if they have strong emotional potential, then underline them and make sure that you are especially ready for them when they come. For example, when Beatrice says, "I loved nothing so well as you," these are huge words for both of them. It is a major revelation and changes both of their lives forever. It is really important for you as an actor and character to be open and ready to receive those lines when they are said. It will fuel the rest of the scene from then on, but if you let them slip by, then your scene won't really work. So make sure those words are super important. However, be judicious. You can't make every line important. Otherwise, every line will be up here and very flat. Just a tip, look for words that repeat. For example, in the script, Beatrice says, "enemy," referring to Claudio, and then Benedict says "enemy" again. That's a good indicator that those words have a special meaning in the course of the scene. Shakespeare thought it was so important that he had two characters say it in quick succession. Don't let those moments slip by. Underline them now so that you can make sure you're especially receptive emotionally to them in rehearsal. So, here's a list of questions an actor should try to ask or answer while scoring a scene. 1. What is my super objective for the entirety of the play, film, scene, or monologue? 2. What are the objectives that compose my through line of action for my character? 3. Where are the individual beats of the entirety of the piece I am working on? 4. What is the title or name of each beat or unit I have identified? 5. Where is the beginning, middle, and end for my character? 6. What is the polarity of my character's journey throughout the piece? 7. How does my character transform from beginning to end? 8. Who wins at the end of each beat or unit? 9. What are your expectations? 10. What are your discoveries? 11. What are the obstacles? 12. What is the relationship to the past? 13. What are the particularization words? And that's it. An actor who tries to ask themselves these questions during their homework can really feel comfortable walking into the space well prepared and ready to have a great and productive rehearsal. Again, do not set anything in stone and be ready to change any decision you make whenever it is justified. Asking the questions alone can set you on a productive path and help you fulfill your goal of inspired acting. Next time, I will be talking about the actor's intangible director, atmosphere. So, if you want to be the first to be notified when that video comes out, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell. See you later, colleagues.